So it's mostly a space where I store things like my ATV, motorcycles, bicycles. You know, in Alberta here, everything's seasonal, so I use the kayaks in the summer, then I put them out of the way for winter, the lawnmower goes out of the way and stuff like that. But it's also a perfectly functional shop. I have it set up where I have tools, and I can bring in a vehicle in here, and I can do, with ramps, I can do oil changes, I can change tires. I got tires for the kids. I can do shocks and whatever, basic maintenance on cars, basic maintenance on this, on motorcycles, and DIY projects I can do here. Now, I have electricity coming into the shop, and I have, a 50 amp circuit and some 120 volt circuits, so I can run a welder. But I don't have heat in my shop, which is not a problem for about 7-8 months out of the year, but there's a couple of cold months. And when it gets cold, what I do is I have a little propane heater that I turn on, but I don't like the fact that it's exhausting in here, and I need to open, crack some windows, crack the door open to be safe. So I'm going to install a little diesel heater in here, and let me show you what that looks like. All right. So the heater comes from a company called Vevor. I love their logo. Tough tools, half the price. Yeah, it's about under $200 Canadian, and ordered it just a couple of days ago, and the delivery was rather fast. This will be kind of the unboxing. I might do this as a two-part video. One going over the heater, and then the other one going over the installation. Things in there. This is plastic pieces. Looks like a vent or a vent guard. Diesel heater. So while I'm doing this, I'll talk about it a little bit. These are actually sold and advertised as they're 12 volts, and so they're advertised for things like RVs and campers, boats even, but I've seen online guys put them in little shops or garages or workspaces. So they are, but because it is 12 volt, I actually ordered a 12 volt, 120 volt to 12 volt converter, so because I have 120 volt here in my shop. But I might set it up so it can be used off of batteries. You see here I got a battery. Okay, there's a box underneath, more parts in the box. This is what it looks like. Got two handles, fairly portable, and comes with a remote control. Interesting. Got a little remote control panel. This is where the hot air comes out, and then if I turn it around, open it,
the cover is actually quite solid and easy to take on and off. Two good handles to make it portable.
Nothing to it, eh? There's a storage tank for the diesel, and then the main little pump here. I'll show some details. A pump.
Unit's pretty straightforward. You got a display, an exhaust port, storage tank on top, and then that's the burner unit itself. And then it's wire, and let me turn it around. Let me show you the other side. Hang on.
And then the burner unit down here. Exhaust there. Hot air goes out there. Cold air intake. I'm trying to see where the exhaust is.
There's a little pump. That's the inlet from the reservoir. It goes through a pump. I don't know if there's a filter. I hope there's a filter in there. If not, we might have to install a filter. And yeah.
And it comes in with, it's got a fuse, and then 12 volt connections, which we'll deal with. Or is it underneath? Haha, it's underneath. Okay, so the exhaust looks like it's underneath. Interesting. Okay. So we have a little bit of sort of assembly. I have to connect a power source, so it comes with 12 volt leads, positive and a negative. And then let's see what the accessories they gave us. A little, some ducting. I have lots of that already in the shop. One of these must be an inlet pipe, one is an exhaust pipe, and then I have a little muffler, little air intake filter, and some various fittings. All right, let's get to work trying to sort this out, but first I'm going to read the instruction. I'm an engineer by training, I like to read the instructions, see what I'm getting into, and then we'll figure out how to assemble it and how to set it up in my shop.
Pretty straightforward. Connect the air outlet, which is not necessary. That's if you're putting somewhere, in the back of a vehicle and you need to pipe the air somewhere in the front. But if you're just doing it in the shop, I don't need that. And then there's an air inlet and an air outlet underneath, a muffler, and connecting to a power supply. So it's all pretty straightforward. I don't think it'll take very long to assemble this and test it out.
All right, let's do the air side first. Here. Actually, remove the fuel line. Make some room. Actually clever because they got of everything. Like there's a slot right here so that your screwdriver can reach in. Doesn't need to be extremely tight. I mean, this is just sucking in air, so it's not exhausting. And then I'm gonna let's flip it over. It came with a clamp like this, but it's too small and it's collapsing the tube. And for something like this, it's just as easy to do something like this. I'm gonna put a zip tie in there. This doesn't see any heat. Put it like that, bend it in place. Good enough. Good enough for something like this. For now, like I said, it's proof of concept. Okay. Again, I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of pressure there. All Over or under? There. All right. I'm going to push it down. I'm going to go the other way. Yeah, that's the way I want to go. Now. Perfect.
I don't quite like the way that sits underneath there, so I'm going to put little blocks underneath these two legs.
All right, so last thing to do is to connect this to a power supply. Now I could connect it directly to a battery, but I chose to buy just a quick 120 volts to 12 volt adapter. Now when I looked at the instructions online, it said that it was 12 volt 2 amps, but in here the instructions are a little confusing because I'm not sure if that means less than or equal to 15 amp or greater than or equal to 15 amp. But I'm going to assume that the instructions online were correct and it's 2 amps. And the reason I'm going with that is because of the fuse in here. So this is a 20 amp fuse, so by definition it would want something less than 20 amp.
Put a couple of blocks underneath, and got the air intake, and then got the hot exhaust outlet. And I don't need anything on the front. Pretty straightforward. The instructions were actually remarkably good. Oh yeah, and I have a 12 volt supply to it.
Yeah, so it took about 30 minutes to assemble. The instructions are straightforward. Like the instructions are very good. I'm pleasantly impressed because sometimes you get some things that have to be assembled that are complicated. It's intuitive if you're mechanically inclined. I had to make a small adjustment. Nothing too complicated. So this is the muffler. Now the way I'm going to be testing it is I'm going to be putting it on the ground and I'm going to exhaust this under my shop door for the time being. And then later on, if I want to do it permanently, then I'll probably get a longer exhaust hose and pipe it through a wall or something. I'll figure that out. But right now, I just want to do the proof of concept. So it's all built, not too heavy. You got the power supply. So now I'm going to go get some diesel and put some diesel in there and do some testing. Clever designs. I mean, they thought of a lot of things, You got a window here so you can see your tank. Huh. Cool. Flashing up. Power.
Start heating.
Wow. That was simple.
A little bit of air blowing out there. Not hot yet. So I got an error code. I'll have to go look in the book what error 01 means. Okay, it's working, and I had to go to plan B So my little power supply is inadequate right now. So temporarily, until I get a different power supply, I'm just connecting it directly to a 12-volt battery, which works just fine. And that's not even a big 12-volt battery. That's one of the little ones for lawnmowers. It's burning. A little bit of smoke coming off here. Yeah. That's just the plastic coating that was on the little exhaust pipe. And yeah, it's warm air. Cool.
There's only two settings. It's quite simple. So if you put it in auto, you just choose the temperature. So right now, I have it at 20 degrees. So it's gonna work itself until it gets to 20 degrees. So it's choosing whatever speed it needs and other settings, and it's on auto. So it's gonna get to 20. And so it must be feeling like it's near 20 because it's already kind of slowing down. Now, if I put it on manual or level that's indicated here, now I can just override and then so it makes sense. So the heat coming off the burner is constant. What changes is the rate at which it's blown out. And then if I go back to auto, it's going to decrease the speed. Yes, because it doesn't need to be blowing that hard on the current temperature setting that I have it on auto. But now on auto, if I choose to increase to, let's say, 30, then I imagine it's going to automatically compensate by going faster. There you go. So there's only two settings. Very straightforward.
Stop heating. Thanks for using. I wish you a safe journey.
There you go. I was just doing that using the remote. All right, there you have it. The Vevor 12 volt, 8 kilowatt. I'll have to do the conversion to convert kilowatts to BTU heater. Fantastic. Easy to assemble. Instructions are fantastic. Intuitive, easy to use. You know, read the instructions and figure it out. I even like this thing when it was shutting down. It shut down and then it cooled itself, and then it said, "Thank you for using. Have a safe journey," or something like that. I'll have to tape it when it's shutting down. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, it works. It works great. You know, I had a little hiccup because I don't have a proper 15 amp. So that's something that maybe the website should specify, be more specific about the power supply. I should have known. It's a big thing. You know, it's got a motor, so 15 amp is reasonable. The little adapter of 5 amps wasn't enough, so you need a 15 amp converter. But plugged into a battery directly works like a charm. And so now I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna pipe it in a little bit more permanently, kind of thing, and then I'm gonna measure the temperature inside the shop and outside the shop, and or in the shop before and after, not inside, outside before and after, and see how long it takes. Maybe do some fuel consumption measurements, compare it to what it says on the spec sheet. But overall, yeah, for the price, you know, $169 Canadian with tax, you know, under $200 delivered, and could be used in numerous settings. I mean, it's powered by a 12-volt battery, so I could take this in my RV, which is parked outside. You could pipe this into a tent, the hot air blowing out into a tent. You could, you know, you could use it in a gazebo. You could use it in your garage. I mean, let's say I'm working in my garage instead of my shop. I can easily pick that up and bring it to my garage. So a very versatile, well-built unit. All right, so stay tuned for part 2 where I'll do some performance testing.